Hello and welcome to today's podcast where we will be discussing the effectiveness of satire and the use of satire seen in the Adventures of Huckleberry Finn in order to discuss race in American public schools. The Adventures of Huck Finn is a novel written by Mark Twain in 1884 about a boy who runs away on his adventure. He runs into a runaway slave, Jim, who he has previously known. During the time period this was written, slavery was a major issue in the United States. Twain satirizes slavery and racism throughout the novel. Today, the racism in the book is used to educate America's youth, but is also often seen as controversial. In order for satire to work overall, and when Twain writes using satire to be effective, I believe the audience needs to have an understanding on the subject. The audience should become uncomfortable in a way that makes you question your own behavior, make you think, while also making the audience laugh. Making sure all these feelings are reached will achieve effective satire. In Huck Finn, Mark Twain satirizes the lack of education given to slaves. Twain uses a method of satire that makes you think, which is a way for satire to become noticed. Listening to the way Jim speaks and the things Jim has said makes the audience uncomfortable. During the Frenchman debate that happens between Huck and Jim is confused as to why French people don't talk the same way Americans do. He asks, "Why, Huck, don't you French people talk the same way we does?" "No, Jim, you couldn't understand a word they said, not a single word." "Well now, I be ding-busted. How do that come?" "I don't know, but it's so. I got some of their jabber out of a book. Suppose a man was to come to you and say, 'Parlez-vous Francie?' What would you think?" "I wouldn't think nuffin'. I'd take it and bust him over de head, that is. If he weren't white, I wouldn't know to call me that." "Shucks, it ain't callin' you anything. It's only saying, 'Do you know how to talk French?' Well then, why couldn't he say it?" "Why, he is saying it. That's a Frenchman's way of saying it." "Well, it's a blame ridiculous way, and don't want to hear no mo' about it. They ain't no sense in it." In this quote, Huck tries to explain to Jim that it would be very hard for him to understand what a French person was saying because he's not even fully educated in his English language. This is an issue that occurred when the book was writing because all slaves should have had the right to be educated. During this debate, you can hear the lack of Jim's English education through the way he speaks. The way he speaks makes the audience question what he's saying and think, which is a method of satire that Mark Twain uses, and it makes them confused. Often societal beliefs are different between most people. People often even have family members who they don't always see eye to eye with, and these differences come out at your Thanksgiving table each year. Saturday Night Live satirizes Thanksgiving Day in a skit called A Thanksgiving Miracle. There's a family that is heard debating over recent issues in society.
I have a question for you. Why is it that your friends keep antagonizing the police? Why would you ask my boyfriend that? I'm just trying to get to know Jamal.
That's the family debating over a common issue heard in society nowadays. After they continue to debate about more topics, a young girl, the only young girl at the table, gets up and turns the radio, and Adele's famous "Hello" turns on. The entire family begins to stand up and start singing.
It's me. I was wondering if after all these years you'd like me to go on.
The screen reads, "One thing unites us all," and the whole family comes together and begins singing. This is satirizing the society and what we make our peace over. The creator of this skit effectively uses satire because most people can relate having been in that situation, and the ability to relate makes you realize your own behavior, causing you to laugh at the follies in human society, thus reaching its goal of effective satire. When Mark Twain published The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, the satire could have been effective because it helped point out all the societal flaws and it made people realize the bad things that were happening in society and how they needed to be changed and how terrible they were. Though that this satire was effective when Mark Twain first published the book, it is no longer effective. The reason it's no longer effective is because we don't face all these same issues that Mark Twain wrote about when he published the book. Though there are some issues that could still be the same, we don't see as much things like we don't have slavery anymore, and he focuses on that a lot. In order to have a real and meaningful discussion of race in the U.S. today, the people who are having this discussion need to be considerate of everyone. They need to be using everything in the right context. I think some of the things Twain did say could nowadays especially be seen as racist and rude and hurtful to people. So things need to be used in the right context, and you need to have seriousness in order to get your message across. Thank you. Have a nice day.